When people get reasonably stronger and things start to get hard in training, they start thinking one or both of two things. Firstly, the weight's not going up anymore, it's too heavy now, so I have to start dropping it. And secondly, they think that they are overtrained. But is overtraining actually a real thing in the general strength training population? Some things that first and foremost need to be clarified. Overtraining is developed over a relatively long period of time due to a severe mismatch in training stress applied and the ability to recover from it. You're basically burning your body to the point where you're gonna be bathing in cortisol and you're gonna be like a cannibal eating itself up from the inside. From a training perspective, overtraining is usually developed by doing way too much volume combined with high intensity, while simultaneously not addressing your recovery needs. Most people who train in the gym will never get to a stage of overtraining because simply we don't have 15-20 hours available to spend in the gym and train hard for that amount of time. And we're also not professional athletes who do this all week long. If you train 3 days a week for 1.5 hours each, that's 4.5 hours per week, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to overtrain on that kind of schedule. Feeling fatigued every now and then doesn't mean that you are overtrained. It just means that either it's chance or you need to pay more attention to your programming, your sleep, or your nutrition. I'm going to talk about some signs that will tell you that you have to start making some adjustments in your programming. Not because you're overtrained, but because it just means that currently you're biting off a little bit more than you can chew. Very important, I'm going to assume that your sleep is fine, that your nutrition is fine, and that thirdly, you currently don't have any significantly high stressors outside the gym. Number one, you're feeling more fatigued than usual and your energy levels haven't been the same for a week, a couple of weeks or longer. Number two, your muscles feel sore much more often and more significantly than usual. Number three, you're starting to feel a little bit beaten up, especially in your joints. Number four, you're lacking the usual drive in training. And number five, you're starting to miss reps in your training that are not technique related and therefore you're unable to go up in weight. If you experience one or several of those signs, then it can really help to drop the training volume for a week, several weeks, or for as long as needed to reset things and then go from there again. Still go heavy, but for example, instead of doing 3 or 4 sets of 5 on your squat volume day, see if you can manage one top set and then do another back off set thereafter. From a programming perspective, this reduction in volume should make you start feeling fresh again. And then, step by step, you start ramping up the volume again and return to your normal training schedule. In most cases of us normal folks though, we need more stress in training and not less if things get hard. One of the biggest mistakes that people make towards the end of their novice linear progression is that they dump a lot of stress when things get hard and things go downhill from then on. As we know, the stress has to continuously increase in your training in order for you to keep adding weight to the bar. So if you don't show any of the signs I explained earlier, then you need to train more often or just train harder. So how can we add stress to our program? We can obviously go up in weight, we can add a set or sets to an exercise, we can add a rep to the set if that's possible, or we can train more often. Which of these we choose is going to depend on the lift. The upper body lifts, bench and press, generally respond well to a higher training frequency, as the recovery between workouts tends to be shorter, so you can train them more often. For example, you go from 2 days a week pressing to 3 days a week, and that often unlocks the press again. With the bench press, even though it's an upper body lift, and in theory should be trained more often, it is also heavier than the press, and there is much more load just borne by the shoulder joint. So benching 3 days a week, I don't recommend, because you might start pissing off your shoulders or your elbows after a while. On the bench, I would just add an extra set on the volume day or add another set on the intensity day, and that should keep your bench going. The squat is not going to respond well to training more often because of the high amount of stress that it generates. So it needs sufficient recovery between training days. So you would, for example, add an extra set on your squat volume day and see if that helps unlock your intensity day squat again. If you're only pulling once a week, then adding in a lighter or medium intensity day in a pulling motion can help unlock your heavy deadlifts or your heavy rack pulls further. The key is to apply enough stress so we can get stronger, but not so much that we can't recover from it. In most cases, people are not so-called overtrained, but they actually need to increase the stress. If you're stuck in training, reach out to me and I'll help you get unstuck again. Thanks for watching.